I can't give her what she wants. What was the story behind this particular track?
This is one of the earliest things that we did, I think. We had the music pretty much for this pretty quickly. It was one of Richard's, and then you got the chorus, and then it wasn't until early next year, kind of 2014 January, when we were recording that you got the verse nailed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that.
Because you didn't record this. This is actually, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't record this. We did this all at Ed's, really, and then we just overdubbed the acoustic guitar.
Vocal at Ed's as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So it was all recorded.
Yeah,
at his
it's kind
house
of like a baroque piece, like kind of, what is it? You said when we were recording it, you said it sounded like Lady Jane or something. That kind of deliberately baroque-y kind of little chamber piece.
It originally had an acoustic guitar in it, which I didn't feel. I felt it sounded too sort of.
It made it too sweet, didn't it?
Yeah, it sounded too sort of medieval.
Yeah.
And so we put some electric guitar in it. But the song is a kind of, it's one of my constant as a writer in the phase of my life that I'm in. I'm always looking for sort of friction to document. It's about I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what kind of state your life is in, whether it's good or bad, there's always friction there to talk about, there's always interesting things to talk about. It's about finding those moments, it's about kind of like finding those moments of misunderstanding, talking about those really, and that's what the song's about.
Roger, for you, what did you take most from the album when you were sort of initially listening to it?
It was the sort of familial topics really, that really, as I said, resonated with me because it was about loss, but also about having children and not wanting to fuck that whole situation up as well. The lyrics don't always come through to me, but this really did. It really hit home with me.
How hard was it to kind of come up with the work on the script and come up with a film when there is already this? Well, when there's the album there, which has got a narrative and it's already done, finished, and there's all these things, and then you have to come and respond to it in another creative way.
Honestly, because of what was going on and everything, I just kind of I didn't feel like I was trying to pitch. Normally you pitch, by trying to write within what you expect somebody wants. But especially with this, I just kind of thought, well, I'll just chuck these few ideas in, and I don't really, not in a horrible way, but I don't really care if they don't like them. But they did like them, and I think that's really the best way to approach anything, really. I'm really glad that they did, but I wasn't trying to please anyone, so it didn't really matter that all these other things existed, if you know what I mean.
Could you kind of pick up on that as a group, because that's kind of what you were doing with the record yourselves?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I liked that it wasn't like I was saying before, that it wasn't sort of slavishly trying to sort of like reference every word in the lyrics. It sort of went off on its own little path. I thought that was great.
I mean, I like thinking about it as normally what you would do is you'd make a film, and then you'd go to a composer and say, okay, give us some music that brings out the themes in this. It's not supposed to sound like what's going on in the film. It's supposed to enhance it. And this is just the other way around. You know what I mean? I think if it had followed slavishly, it would have been very confusing and very unnarrative thing. That's the thing about a record. It doesn't have to have a narrative. It's like a companion piece. It runs alongside the record, and there are points where I think it's really close, where it's almost like, it's telling the same story. And then there's some points where it's miles apart. But in a way, those are the bits that are the most interesting, I think. Something like Pale Snow, I think it's really interesting because doesn't feel like it's about what's happening in the record, but then they add to each other. I always love that. I love that when you get the sleeve to a record, and it just adds a filter to how you hear those songs. You know what I mean? I love the way of just kind of finding another way into it. That's
interesting, actually, because for a lot of the people that it was the first time they've heard the album on Friday, so they are going to probably have that have the film sort of indelibly somewhere in their memory. Yeah. So when they hear the album, they're kind of hearing Roger's record as much as your record, which I think is a very interesting, odd situation.
It's interesting because the film kind of like followed the album. So if you look at it, how it all came about, but it's that thing of you know, when you do have a very powerful visual piece, like a great record sleeve or something like, you know, Animals by Pink Floyd or something like that. You know, when I think of that music, I can't help but see that image, and I do really connect music with images as well. I mean, maybe other people do less, but I think it's sort of like you see it through certain eyes sometimes, you know, and perhaps people will see Night Thoughts through the kind of like the filter of the film, and that's fine for them to do that.
Well, it's the same. That's another parallel with Dog Man Star here, I think, is that sleeve totally, well, for me anyway, really shaped.
Yeah.
That was the world. That sort of quite gothic, homoerotic, dank. Maybe reading the Highgate interviews and stuff.
Yes.
That totally shaped how Dog Man Star is as an album. When sometimes you take some of the songs out of it, they don't actually fit that world on their own, but they do as part of the record.
They're all part of that world, aren't they, somehow, yeah.
Which is why I think Night Thoughts is kind of, it's nothing like or to do with Dog Man Star, but in some ways it feels like the most complete Suede record apart from Dog Man Star.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it definitely mirrors it in the sense that we were trying to achieve something in a similar vein, I suppose. You know, again, you know, we're not very into self-parody, but we definitely had that kind of mindset, yeah.